Congressman, good morning to you. The focal point of Thursday's town hall in Bakersfield was cuts to Medicaid. What did you hear from folks there?
Well, I heard that first, that they're scared, that they're disappointed in their own member, that their own member who should recognize that 69% of his district, actually 67% of his district's on Medicaid, and he doesn't care. And he doesn't listen to them. So they're angry, they're frustrated, and they're scared. And I want to tell them, we're here. We're here to listen. We're here to help. But most importantly, we are here to help you get organized, to fight back. Because the only way we're going to take this country back is if people organize, rise up, and demand changes. And if not, vote them out in 2 years.
We have some sound, Congressman, from Congressman Valadao on town halls. And I would just note for folks at home, this is the congressman who represents Bakersfield, and this is what he had to say.
Do you feel threatened by these town halls and the fact that Democrats are already gearing up for 2026 using the issue of health care?
No. I've got more important things to worry about than an election that is almost 2 years away. It's sad that a fellow congressman who should be focused on taking care of his constituents is taking time out of his schedule to play in political rallies.
He's got more important things to worry about than speaking to his constituents.
Yeah, his constituents are should be his main priority. And he's not listening to the fact, and he's not looking at the data. 67%. That means more than half of his district, 500,000 people. So you don't have to worry about 2026. He has to worry about them now. What happens if they lose their health care? What's going to happen is, one, the rural hospitals that depend on Medicaid are going to shut down. There's going to be less doctors. There's going to be less nurses. That means people's health outcomes are going to be worse. People with diabetes, people with valley fever, that is very strict, impactful there in that region. So he should care about what's happening to them now and actually stop lying to them about they're not going to vote for cuts, because we know that the math doesn't math if they don't cut Medicaid.
Congressman, I would like to get your thoughts in reaction to Howard Lutnick and his comment about the fact that Social Security recipients can afford to miss a month. They'll be okay. If we have to pare back Social Security, they'll be okay if they miss a month. Because for all those members of Congress, just as a quick reminder, your constituents should be your priority, as you noted, Congressman. So when you have someone, a $4 billion billionaire, sitting there saying that Social Security recipients can afford to miss a month, they'll be okay. What's your thoughts, sir?
First, it's the most insulting thing I've ever heard. It shows that the billionaire establishment that has taken root in this administration and in Washington, they don't get the pains of the American people. I looked this up right after I heard his comment. 28% of the American people who are on Social Security, that is their sole source of income, 28%. And then if you look at everybody else, men, 44% of men is 50% of their source of income. Women, it is about 38%. So this is such a big deal, because if people don't have it, they can't afford to eat. They can't afford to pay for medicine. They can't afford so many different things. But of course, a billionaire doesn't give a hoot about working class people, because he doesn't understand that most people are living paycheck to paycheck. But this impacts every single person. But you know what? What's happening is a lot of the folks that he's talking to don't listen to MSNBC, don't listen to CNN, they don't listen to our podcast. So the only way we can get breakthrough is by doing what we're doing, is going to these town halls, organizing them, and then going door to door. Because one of the things that they can't do when you go door to door is tune you out. So that's the only way we're going to break through. And here's the thing. You have Scott Bessent, who made comments about rising inflation. You have Donald Trump, Elon Musk. This is the billionaire establishment that has taken root in D.C., and they don't care about the working class.
We're talking, and you're keeping the focus on the economy for a very good reason, because it is something that this president doesn't want to talk about, because he campaigned on this economy and how he was going to lower prices. And he's actually succeeded in accomplishing quite the opposite. And at the same time, there are efforts in this country by this administration to use the Alien Enemies Act to single out a single nationality, in this case, Venezuelans. And there's some really devastating reporting from Time magazine that I want to make sure we take a chance to talk about. This is from a reporter on the ground there who watched as these Venezuelans were in El Salvador, a country they are not from, and put in prison there. The intake began with slaps. One young man sobbed when a guard pushed him to the floor. He said, "I'm not a gang member. I'm gay. I'm a barber." With each fall came a kick, a slap, a shove. The guards grabbed necks and pushed bodies into the sides of the buses as they forced the detainees forward. There was no blood, but the violence had rhythm, like a theater of fear. There's so much we don't know, Congressman, about who these men are, in part because this administration has refused to be transparent about who they are, to provide that information. But it's very clear what is happening here more broadly and the risk that it uniquely carries for your and my community, which is, sure, they begin by targeting Venezuelans. They begin by saying that they are targeting people who are violent without actually providing any proof that they have a violent history. And it is a very slippery slope into racial profiling. And so I wonder for you, as a member of Congress, as a member of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, what you see as the role of Congress in demanding oversight of what it is that is taking place.
No, Congress definitely has to exercise their oversight authority. But in the end, we know that Republicans are not doing and they're not doing their job. They don't care about providing oversight. Actually, they're turning a blind eye to any real oversight. So that means that we have to rely on individuals and the courts to push back on this case. This is scary. And here's the thing. After Donald Trump got elected, a lot of folks, we raised this as an issue with immigration experts that he could use this act. And they kind of didn't think that that would be the case. But we know that he's willing to do anything and everything to carry out his agenda, even if it goes beyond the bounds of the law. So for that young man who was kidnapped, there will be real dire consequences for these individuals. So we have to push back, but we have to win this in the courts. And here's the thing. There might be a time where this case goes all the way up to the Supreme Court, and people are going to have to make a decision. Are you going to allow Donald Trump to ignore a Supreme Court decision, or are you going to stand up?